So are you someone who feels like they're constantly at the back of the court, hitting smashes down and their opponent just keeps getting it back?
So here at the Badminton Zone, we believe an effective smash is built from three things: power, accuracy, and angle.
But you're maybe thinking, well, I already hit a really angled and accurate smash, but I just need that extra bit of power. And that's what we're going to do on this video. We're going to take you through two different elements we see people make mistakes on in the badminton smash, how you can fix them, and then finally a few different training exercises you can do to improve the power in your smash.
So David, it's probably worth discussing first, what is it that makes the biggest difference for smash power?
And this is where some of the misconceptions come in. Yes, having maybe a head-heavy racket, some good tight strings can affect your smash power, but the thing that makes the biggest difference is how fast you can actually swing that racket.
So David, when we're talking about the overhead smash, we obviously know there are lots of different moving parts that do add elements of power. However, in this video, we're going to focus on the two biggest areas we feel make the biggest impact for smash power.
Yeah, we're going to assume that you've got a decent basic swing in terms of got a forehand grip, our contact point for our smash is right out in front of us, and we're getting that body weight through back into court to help generate power. But we're going to look at two major things here, and the first one is range of motion.
So David, I mean, range of motion can be considered quite a boring area, but actually the reason we're looking at it is it's very overlooked, and it does have a big impact on smash power.
100%. And if you just look at the professionals, the guys who are hitting big smashes, they're not these big muscular people. It's not a matter of physical strength. What they are is they're very flexible. They've got a fantastic range of motion, so they can whip through and hit that shuttle really hard. So range of motion, we're actually going to look at three different areas we can start creating better range of motion in our body to improve our smash power. Now, area number one is going to be our upper body and getting it to disconnect from our lower body. So this is using our torso to turn. Now, this is really important in a badminton swing. When we start swinging through, our hips are the first thing to go. Now, what we want is to be able to disconnect this torso so it's still in a good side-on position, which is going to help generate lag in our swing, which is going to allow us to recall through and hit a faster smash. So how can we increase the range of motion here? Well, we're actually going to do a lower back stretch. Now, you just need a small area of floor for this and lie flat on your back. Now, starting on your right-hand side, we're going to bring our right leg across our body, allowing your chest to turn with it. Then, with a nice deep breath in and out, turn your torso back the other way so your back is flat on the floor, but still leaving your leg across your body. The goal here is to get your right shoulder flat onto the floor whilst keeping your leg across your body. So two different ways we can actually increase this stretch. One is slowly bringing your right leg higher up towards your shoulder using your left arm. Or if you have a bed at home, you do this stretch on the side of the bed so your leg actually hangs off the side, creating a deeper stretch. So area number two is our chest. Now, badminton players typically have really tight chests because when we swing through, we're constantly contracting that chest so it can get really tight and actually bring our shoulder forward. So we want to stretch this out. So once again, as we start to turn our body to hit, we can get a nice extension here, create some lag to recall through and hit a hard smash. So the stretch we can do here, we actually just need a wall. And we're going to start facing the wall and putting our arm out to the side. Then with your arm on the wall, turn your chest now so you get as side onto the wall as possible, keeping your arm there. You'll feel a nice stretch up into your chest muscles, your pecs. Now, if you want to find different areas of your pec to stretch, you can move your arms slightly further up or slightly further down to get a slightly different stretch. So the final area we're going to improve our range of motion on is actually our shoulder and the external rotation of this. When we think about hitting a shuttle, our shoulder comes through and forward. This is internal rotation. So naturally, our shoulders get further and further forward, and this can cause injuries, but also it can prevent us from hitting a faster smash. Now, the stretch we can do for this is actually, once again, on our back. We're going to be lying flat on the floor, and I want you to raise your shoulder up So your shoulder's at 90 degrees and so is your forearm. Now from here, we're going to slowly lower our hand down, ideally wanting to get this arm flat on the floor. The one thing I want you to make sure you don't do is try and create a gap between your shoulder and the floor to force this arm down. We want it to be within your current range of motion with some slight strain on the stretch. So if you do find you can already get to the floor, fantastic. We can actually improve this stretch by getting something like a towel and putting it under your shoulder or upper arm, and we can create a bit of a deficit that can further increase this stretch. So our second area we're going to look at is actually tension in the arm. Now, Dean, why can this affect our smash power?
I mean, if we come back to what makes a powerful smash, and sometimes it's made a lot more complicated than what it actually is. Smash power is racket head speed whilst maintaining a good contact in the middle of the racket. And the reason tension plays such a negative part in this is that we can't feel like we're keeping the racket moving freely and generate that pace where we do look at adding the rotation of the body. And as you've already mentioned, David, that lag that's so important to create power.
So where does this tension tend to sort of resonate from?
I think in the sense of people getting excited, people wanting to hit hard, and we just kind of almost carry that tension throughout our body, and it becomes very hard to stay fluid and stay controlled. You already mentioned something like golf, David. Everything is very smooth and relaxed, and everything catches up at the end. If we're already tense here as we're swinging, nothing really kind of generates the power.
And I think one of the things we often see with a lot of players is it actually starts from the grip and actually holding that too tight.
Yeah, I mean, we always often say that we want to have this loose grip pressure anytime we're adding power is when we're squeezing on contact. And you're right, particularly with the smash, if we're gripping here too tight too early, we get that tension kind of coming through our arm. And again, when it comes into contact, we've almost got nowhere to go. The idea is we're trying to stay nice and loose, muscles nice and relaxed. And it's on contact where we're looking to then contract. And that's where we gain all that power when it's needed, which is when we're making contact with the shuttle.
And it's that difference. That's what we're looking for. That difference from loose to contracting, that's going to generate that power for you. Yeah. So we're actually going to bring in the training for this kind of improved tension in the body, linked in with the training for improving your smash. And that is going to be working on a maximum smash. So why is tension so important? Well, Dean, if you take a swing now and listen for this swish when he's really tense. And now if you go really super loose, Dean, there's a much bigger swish there, and that does sort of associate with a faster swing speed, and you can really tell why we don't want to be tense. So the first exercise we're going to be doing is working on swinging this racket as fast as we can. Now, when you're actually hitting a smash, you won't swing at what we call 100% because we lose control of our body and we're not going to find that nice contact in the middle of the racket. We'll probably look to swing at about 95%. But if we can improve that speed at 100%, that 95% naturally improves. So what Dean's going to do, he's going to do 5 smashes in total, swinging this racket as fast as he can, but taking a small break between each because this is a max effort exercise, so we need that little bit of recovery. So we can actually progress this exercise. We're going to use a heavy racket. Now, if you don't have access to a heavy racket, you could use a head cover on a grip or even something like a squash or tennis racket, just being careful of obviously that excess load on your shoulder. Heavy racket, this is 160 grams, so it's quite a lot heavier than Dean's racket. Now, this is going to use a principle called post-activation potentiation. Essentially, we're going to prime Dean's muscles with a slightly heavier racket, and then he's going to go and swing his normal racket, and his muscles are going to think it's got a heavy racket still and actually swing it a bit faster. So for this final exercise, we're going to bring everything together. We're going to look at opening up more to create a better range of motion. We're going to look at being much looser in our grip, which is going to relieve the tension in our body. And now we're going to start hitting the shuttle. And this brings in an interesting discussion, Dean. Should we jump for our smash?
In an ideal world, yes, we should be jumping. But I think the reason that we're not necessarily looking at the jump within this is because the main focus of this video is power. Now, it's important to say that the jump doesn't add power. The jump only adds angle. So you can achieve the same power on the floor as you can in the air. But it's a good way of you almost taking out an element of worrying about the jump just to focus on the quality of the power.
So for this exercise, I'm going to be hitting lifts for Dean to smash. His main focus is to swing as hard as he can while still maintaining control of his body and finding good contact. If we want to hit hard smashes, we have to practice hitting hard smashes.
So as we said, this video is all about increasing your smash power. And whilst we understand there are lots of contributing factors within the swing that add to smash power, we decided to focus on two that we feel will make the biggest difference to your smash. The reason we decided to only focus on two areas is because sometimes if you focus on lots of areas, you end up focusing on none.
And as always, if you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe button and head over to our Instagram and give us a follow.